obviously I'm not dressed in the proper fandom right now, but I was just filming an unboxing for, wait for it. Anyway, I was so cozy. Can I talk, please? Thank you. I was so cozy that I was like, this is comfortable reading attire. I think I want to read. I'm ready to be heard. I'm gonna put you to bed. So a few people told me to start with the dedication. I'm going to do that. I actually don't typically read. Oh my Don't be rude. Are you kidding? Why is he playing with... He's so funny. Obviously, it has been a minute since I read the last book. I wanted the full experience of waiting in torture. No, I was just like, I haven't been at home for like the last 3 months. I've been traveling back and forth, but I'm back and I'm ready to suffer and die. Hazel. Oh, God. I was really hoping we were going to open on Percy and Annabeth, but I'm going to have to go through a bunch of other perspectives before I find out what happened to them. Okay, that's fine. I love Hazel. I love Hazel. Okay. During the third attack, Hazel almost ate a boulder. Every time I read the opening line of any Percy Jackson book, I think, what could possibly be the context? She wanted to experience just being a regular girl for once with an actual sweet, caring boyfriend. Most of all, she wanted to feel safe. She was tired of being scared and worried all the time. Girl, me too!
All right, me too, girl.
Me too! Like, I am tired of these books stressing me out. When are Percy and Annabeth gonna pop out from behind a tree and be like, surprise, haha, we were just playing a little joke, April Fools, let's go back. Come to camp and go to bed, everyone.
I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
That's too damn bad!
She glanced at her half-brother. Since they'd rescued him from the giants, he'd started to regain his strength, but he was still painfully thin. His black shirt and jeans hung off his skeletal frame. Long dark hair framed his sunken eyes. His olive complexion had turned a sickly greenish white like the color of tree sap. Hazel saw Leo unconscious or dead. Falling through the clouds, she saw Frank staggering alone down a dark tunnel, clutching his arm, his shirt soaked in blood, and Hazel saw herself in a vast cavern filled with strands of light like a luminous web. She was struggling to break through, while in the distance, Percy and Annabeth lay sprawled and unmoving at the foot of two black and silver metal doors. Huh? I don't like where this is going. NICO had warned her. He'd communed with the dead, heard them whispering hints about their future. Two children of the underworld would enter the house of Hades. They would face an impossible foe. Only one of them would make it to the doors of death. I don't like where they're going with this. It's kind of sounding to me like Hazel or NICO is going to die, which... we're not going to speak that into existence. Oh my gosh, we're back in Annabeth's pod. Okay. What do you mean they've been falling for 9 days? What?
I have been falling for 30 minutes!
Annabeth pressed her lips to Percy's ear. I love you. She wasn't sure if he could hear her, but if they were going to die, she wanted those to be her last words. I got the PERCABETH I wanted, but at what cost? At what cost? She hugged Percy tighter and kissed him. Tell me about New Rome, she demanded. What were your plans for us? New Rome, for us. Yeah, Seaweed Brain, you said we could have a future there. We got a Seaweed Brain! But again, at what cost? Oh, goodness Lord. She wasn't alone. She had Percy, and that meant she couldn't give up. At what cost?
Did we get PERCABETH?
Yes.
What did it cost?
My mental health insanity.
But just putting them in these terrible situations where they're forced to defend each other and protect each other, it's like, from a perspective of how much I love their love story, it's great. I feel a little sadistic saying that, like, yes, hurt them so I can see how much they love each other. Okay, so Percy has just taken out Arachne, and that is a little bit portentous. It's a little bit scary to me. because I was under the impression that Arachne was kind of going to be like the big bad of the story. Like they were kind of gonna have to, it was gonna be like the final big boss battle at the end. So the fact that they've killed her right at the beginning here, that means worse things are coming. That means bigger, much badder things are coming. Ooh, okay. So we have the return of Kelly, which is like, wow, what a throwback.
Hey! Hey! We know each other. He's a friend from work.
Remembered Kelly 2 years ago at Percy's freshman orientation. He and their friend Rachel Dare had been attacked. This is terrible. This is great, but this is terrible. But from a storytelling perspective, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. What could be better than having your protagonists being sent to a realm where they have to face off with every past villain they have already faced? But this time, in the villain's territory. Oh, this is beautiful, Rick. I'm a little scared. Okay, so we've just had spent some time in Leo's perspective, and this is kind of, I feel bad of me to say because I love Leo and I love the others too, but my brain is like, take me back to Percy and Annabeth. Take me back right now. Though it is nice to have like an unhinged Leo and the gang face off with some monkeys, and it's just kind of like slap in the middle of Percy and Annabeth's trauma. Actually, sorry. Okay, I talked myself all the way back into enjoying the Leo interlude. Wait. Am I understanding this wrong? What does Percy mean a month? He said he'd had enough amnesia to last a lifetime. Only last month, Hera had erased his memories to put him among the Roman demigods. All the last 3 books have happened just in the span of a month? That feels wrong. Can someone tell me if I'm reading that wrong? Like, cause, oh my God, imagine going through all of that in the span of a month. Okay, I don't think there's any amount of therapy that can fix it for these kids. Okay, the sun is setting and I have, children to feed, so I feel like I usually give like this was my first impression so far, but I don't have anything to say because my brain is just completely buzzing with just Percy and Annabeth, Percy and Annabeth, Percy and Annabeth. That's all that's running through my brain right now. Grogu, do you think I should download a dating app, or is fiction just giving me unrealistic expectations for romance? I don't know what that means. Bob the Titan. That is a deep cut. This is fun for me. It's not fun for Percy and Annabeth. Frank tried not to flinch when he realized NICO was at his shoulder. Hazel might have been the one who came back from the dead, but NICO was way more ghost-like. Everyone being afraid of NICO is so sad, but it's also so funny to me personally because when you have like an older relative and they haven't seen you for a while and they still think you're at whatever age they last saw you, and they come up to you and they're like, oh my gosh, are you still playing with Polly Pockets? And you're like, I'm literally 13 and a half years old. But that's how I feel about NICO. I'm like, what do you mean he still isn't the age I met him? He's not like a small, like little 10-year-old. How old was he? I don't remember how old he was. He's a sweet and defenseless, Frank. What do you mean? You're scared of him. He's like this tall. So Hazel is in mortal peril and NICO is a corn plant. I'm never gonna get used to reading this series. Ooh, okay, so I just read this whole chapter and I didn't stop because that was intense. Frank just went like full Son of Mars and he embraced his powers and he talked to his dad and he had like a glow up. I love that Frank has gained this like newfound sense of self and of confidence. And at the same time, how much of his original self did he have to give to get it? I guess I'm wondering, is this sort of like the climax of Frank's hero's journey, or are we going to end up seeing repercussions for this change he's gone through? Is this a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. Okay, so we got back to Annabeth's point of view, and Annabeth using the altar to send a message backward is like so smart. I love her so much. She is a genius, but also Oh my gosh. Them using Riptide as an actual pen?
This is a pen. This is a pen.
Some updates. Bob has adopted a kitten, and I have adopted Bob.
And they're so adorable. Let's adopt them.
I am very worried about NICO. I'm very worried about Percy and Annabeth. Coach Hedge is having some relationship drama, and I guess I'm a little worried about that. I don't know. Okay, we're back in Hazel's perspective, and Hazel is talking about how she can't get like a read on Jason. And I still feel like I can't get a read on Jason either. Is Jason gonna turn out to be evil? Ooh, those were my trust issues from Luke coming through. No, I'm sorry, Jason. I'm sorry, you got it straight there. I feel like each book is better than the last. But I was trying to figure out, well, why do I think this book is better than Mark of Athena? What about this book do I think is better? Because I think the plot was just as complex. I think the writing was just as well done. And I think what I like about this book is I think the emotional complexity has gotten better. How they feel about what's happening in the story, how they feel about the relationships with each other is the best out of all the Percy Jackson books. And I think obviously on the one hand, that's because this is probably the darkest book. Like the situation, especially Percy and Annabeth are in, is like the darkest and most difficult situation out of any of the Percy Jackson books. So I think that kind of lends to, setting up the emotion of this book to be more complex. But I just feel like this has dug a lot deeper into the emotional side of the storytelling, and I really appreciate that because I kind of really like that as a reader. I just like when the books, the emotions in it feel really real, and they feel really grounded, and they feel like you're actually in the headspace of the person who's going through it. And I think that particular aspect has gotten a lot more complex in this book, and I really really like that. It's a little emotionally damaging. The foot washing guy is weird. Like about where he wants people to wash his. I'm sure that's based in some sort of myth, but like the thing with his feet. I'm gonna stop talking about feet now. You want to know something about feet? I'm gonna tell you anyway. I once found my feet on this website, and it's like ratecelebrityfeet.com. Now, keep in mind, this was before I had any social media, like public social media. I don't know how my feet got on there, but the rating for my feet was 2 out of 5 bad feet. It's not there anymore. You can't look it up because I emailed the site and I was like, hey, I'm not a celebrity. Please take my feet off of this site. And then I stopped posting Instagram pictures on my regular my personal Instagram account with my feet. That was weird. Okay, I love how everyone's powers are leveling up. Like, what do you mean Hazel can manipulate the mist?
Oh, they fly now! They fly now! They fly now!
Hazel talked to her dad, which, I mean, I don't know, I guess like a couple parenting points to Pluto. Hang on. So you're telling me these demons curse you with like how you've killed others because like they utter a curse upon you like before they die, and then absolute nightmare fuel for Percy and Annabeth. Rick, your twisted mind. This is horrifying. Instantly, Annabeth dropped her rock and cried in alarm. I can't see. NICO. Bob scowled at him, his eyes full of hurt. NICO visited, told me about Percy, said Percy was good, said he was a friend. But when Annabeth got to her feet, she looked stunned and afraid as well as blind. Percy, she called, panic creeping into her voice. I'm right here. He tried to put his hand on her shoulder, but she wasn't standing where he thought. He tried again, only to find she was several feet farther away. Percy, Annabeth's voice cracked. Why did you leave me? No, this curse came from Calypso? I need a second. Okay, So Bob came back to save them, but Percy is still dying, and Polybides is chasing them, and we're back to Jason's, Bob! No offense, Jason, but take me back to Percy. I need to find out what's gonna happen. Jason fell asleep on the job, which was bad since he was 1,000 feet in the air. Hold on, I'll go back for a second. Because besides the trauma of just how insane everything that just happened was, that my brain is still processing. Something I found really interesting was there was this passage here. Percy's kind of just thinking about all the things that he feels he's done wrong. He's talking about Calypso. He said he should have followed up with Calypso, made sure the gods sprang her from exile like they promised. He hadn't thought much about her. He's thinking about how he hasn't treated NICO well, he hasn't treated Bob well. What I found interesting about this passage here is that Percy has become like a god himself. He has become so powerful, and he has been carrying the burdens of something much greater than any normal human, even any average demigod, that he can't afford to think of things that to him, after everything he's seen and done and endured, are insignificant. Because, like, to Calypso, Percy making sure she gets freed, that is her whole world. That is everything. That is her whole life. But to Percy, it's like one tiny struggle in this sea of nonstop struggles that are so much bigger. He has to choose between saving the world and these smaller acts of kindness and mercy. He has become like a god in that sense. And I don't want to say it's making me feel sympathetic or empathetic to the gods, because they're still deadbeat parents to me. I don't want to. It is making me understand that they are effectively in the same position Percy is in. Yes, they have, like the struggles their children are going through is so small and insignificant to them. Even though they care about it, they don't have the space to think about that in the face of these greater world-ending conflicts they're facing. One thing about the Percy Jackson books is that they are going to make you consider every single viewpoint. I think that's been sort of one of my favorite things, all the way back from the original series, is that, okay, we're fighting monsters. Wait, now we have Tyson, and Tyson's a monster. Now we have to put ourselves in the perspective of who we thought were the enemies. Oh, and now we're facing, the other demigods. We're siding with Kronos, but now we have to consider their perspective, and we have to consider what they're going through and why they chose that. And, same thing with this book, with the Greeks versus the Romans, and we're seeing the side of Titans. First, we're going from facing Kronos to now seeing the side of the Titans and of Bob, and Rick Riordan does not allow you to ever make blanket statements about one group, whether it be demigods or gods or monsters or titans. He never allows you to completely see things in black and white and as good versus evil. Rachel, absolutely humbling Octavian, is just what I wanted to see. Okay, so now NICO and Jason are going on their side quest, their life-changing field trip.
I'm going with Zuko. What? Everyone else went on a life-changing field trip with Zuko. Now it's my turn.
NICO clenched his fist until his fingers turned white. Yeah, I'm sure Percy told you all about me. His voice was heavy with bitterness, more than Jason could understand. He knew that NICO had blamed Percy for getting his sister Bianca killed, but they'd supposedly gotten past that, at least according to Percy. Piper had also mentioned a rumor that NICO had a crush on Annabeth. Maybe that was part of it. I'm going to be honest, I'm not that big of a fan of this, NICO has a crush on Annabeth plot point. I mean, I don't know if that's confirmed. I guess that's Jason's reasoning for why NICO ostensibly hates Percy, why NICO's being a little bit of a hater. But also, we just saw that Nico was telling Bob how good Percy was. Maybe it's just because this book came out sort of during the era of like teen love triangles. I guess this isn't a love triangle because Annabeth doesn't like Nico back. It's just a love. It's a love angle. I'm ready for a fun little side quest.
A few moments later.
So I may have been wrong. All the plot points I didn't see coming. Well, I was gonna say this one was the most unexpected, but no, that's still gotta be Luke. It's like all the dots just kind of like clicked into like the puzzle pieces, everything, all the dots connected as to Nico's character and the journey he's been on and what he's going through. I know that Rick Riordan was trying really hard with this series to make it more diverse in the experiences that it represents compared to the original series. But I did not expect to see like any sort of gay representation in this series just because of the time period it came out. And I know 2013 wasn't that long ago. It really wasn't that long ago for me. I've said I'm old a million times. But representation in the media was very, very much lacking. I'm trying to think of like mainstream, I don't know. There was Glee.
Gay. Oh my gosh, I opened my mouth and a little purse falls out.
That's probably not the greatest example. And gay marriage wasn't even legalized in the United States till what? It was like 2015, I think. It was two years after this book. So I guess I'm saying all of this and sort of painting this picture to really explain why it was unexpected for me, and also to commend Rick Riordan for putting that representation in. I don't want to, like, I'm not trying to do what the kids on TikTok might accuse me of doing, which is like glaze him. Okay, I'm not saying that every bit of representation he's included in this book has been perfect. In fact, there's a lot of times where I'm like, oh, that putting that sort of representation and all the representation he's done in these books was incredibly progressive for the context of what the media landscape was like at the time. And I will also say that I really enjoy how the representation in this books is done, because it doesn't feel like we're just gonna slap a label or an ethnicity on this character and pat ourselves on the back and call it representation. He actually, like I said, I think in a previous video, really integrates that representation into the character. I don't obviously know when Rick Riordan decided that this would be a part of Nico's character. It could have been very late on, but it was done in such a way that when you look back at Nico through all the books, it makes complete sense, right? Because you have Nico who doesn't feel like he belongs because he's a son of Hades, and then because he's from a different time period, and then now because he is gay, and as Jason said, from a time period where that was much less accepted. Is he gay or is he bi? I don't want to make assumptions.
And non-binary people of all gender appropriations.
It all fits into his character and the journey he's on, is what I'm trying to say. This was a really long tangent, but I just have such an appreciation for that. Especially, I've been thinking about it recently with the announcement that was made about the new Camp Half-Blood series, and how Rick Riordan is collaborating with authors who are from the background of the characters who are going to be the leads in those stories. And just kind of watching him progress from, he wrote his first 5 books and there wasn't much representation, and then to these books where he was trying really hard to like put representation in, even though maybe it was flawed at times, to going to actually understanding that representation isn't just on the page, it's about who gets to tell these stories and who gets to share these lived experiences, and giving other writers an opportunity to do so. Percy Jackson isn't like my favorite book. I clearly love it a lot, but like, I don't know. I mean, I like The Hunger Games better. I like whatever better. But the reason I feel so passionate about Percy Jackson, the reason I have such like this deep love for it and it has like this very special place in my heart is because Percy Jackson is a story beginning with Rick Riordan's son and other kids that he taught that he saw were having difficulties that was meant to help people. And you see that thread line through all the books, that is still what he's trying to do. And that is just why I feel so passionate about these books and I have such a love for them. That is specifically the main reason. I will also say as a tangent, it's kind of hard to rank Percy Jackson within like ranking of my favorite books because it is a children's book. It is not necessarily targeted toward me, right? So when I'm reading like Lord of the Rings, I feel like that's a book that's targeted toward me. So of course it would make more sense that I would get more out of it. So it feels a little unfair to rank and say, well, it's not because I'm not the target demographic, as I've said multiple times. So I don't like to rank it because it's not really fair for me to rank because I wasn't in its intended audience. Which is not to say, again, adults can't enjoy it. I'm an adult. I'm enjoying it a lot. I just wanted to give that disclaimer. But besides that, oh my God, Nico, my son, my child, my baby boy. I just want to see him go through this arc of like, not only self-love and acceptance, but like learning to accept other people's love and not be alone. And I know there's like a billion Percy Jackson books. I don't know if maybe we would get that in a different book or if it would happen in this one, but I want to see him go through that arc and like come out the other side.
You are the youngest person ever.
I was like Jason's life-changing field trip with Nico, but it was actually Nico's life-changing field trip, which was unexpected. I'm still waiting for Jason's life-changing field trip. I feel like we haven't got that. I need Jason to have his like solo episode so I can get to know him better. Okay, so after all of that, we're back to Annabeth's point of view, and Annabeth and Percy are all nice and cozy in a giant's house, chilling with a giant and a titan. And wow, if you had told me that I'd be saying that sentence 5 books ago, if you had told Percy and Annabeth I'd be saying that sentence 5 books ago. Hey, younger Percy, what are you up to? Oh, we have to stop Kronos from destroying the world. I mean, how do you stop a titan that's like, he's like pure evil, like all powerful. Anyway, what are you up to, older Percy? Oh, I'm having lunch with the titan. Bad story, Bob explained. Good giants have bad stories. Why does that quote want to make me cry? Like, the idea of your hardship and your trauma giving you compassion, it's a nice idea, which is not to say that like hardship and trauma are a good thing that should happen to people because it makes people compassionate, or that you can't be compassionate if you haven't suffered. But it's just like a nice idea that you can make something good of something bad. But I think this quote is more so talking about the fact that in a world where you are labeled as bad, where you are labeled as a monster, that world will punish you for doing good. I feel like it's sort of like an Elphaba in Wicked idea. No good deed goes unpunished. Okay, so I was just reading this whole passage of Bob and the Titan, whose name I'm not... Damison? Another tally on the Michaela can't pronounce any names scoreboard. So they're having this whole conversation, and my brain keeps thinking of other pieces of literature as I'm reading this, maybe because they're talking about the sun, but this sort of dialogue reminded me of the main theme in Sunrise on the Reaping with the quote, what was it? The sun will not rise tomorrow is no less intelligible a proposition and implies no more contradiction than the affirmation that it will rise, that Suzanne Collins uses in this book, which in the Hunger Games is the idea that just because something is the way it always has been doesn't mean that that is the way it has to be tomorrow. How can we help them any further? It is not our fate. But do you like our fate? What a question. Does anyone like his fate? I liked being Bob. This idea that their fate has always been that they are monsters doesn't necessarily mean that tomorrow they still have to be monsters. I just like that idea. I think it's really good. Okay, so Piper just said, the first quest to rescue Hera seemed like centuries ago, so much had changed in 7 months. Okay, so it's been 7 months since the first book. So it's been 7 months since the first book, but it's been 1 month since Son of Neptune. That still doesn't feel right. Can someone make this make sense to me? I don't understand the timeline. Oh, yeah. Look, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like there have been so many times in this book that they were like, this person or this person's gonna die. It is foretold that this person's gonna die. And then you know what happens? Nobody dies. I go through all the emotional turmoil for no reason, and then it's like, justice once rose. Everybody live. Like, I think we're good. Okay, I was wrong. Okay, Bianca did die that one time there. Also, Selena. Okay, but, oh, wait, what is happening? Leo just got tossed. Bro just got thrown. I'm sorry, I know this is a tense moment, but the idea of a god just taking Leo and just kind of tossing him, it's kind of funny. It's kind, you have to admit, it's kind of funny.
You want some? This bitch empty.
All her life, Piper had been looked down upon, told she was useless. It has never been true, another voice whispered, a voice that sounded like her mother's. Each of them berated you because they feared you and envied you. So does Keone. Use that. This is important, actually. If you're a young girl, if you're actually a young person of any gender, if people are hating on you for no reason, I guarantee you they're jealous. That's something that like moms say. They're like, oh no, they're just being mean to you because they're jealous of you. But like they are. They actually are. Do not sit there and think, what is wrong with me? There's nothing wrong with you. People are jealous of you. Okay? I've never met a person with genuine self-confidence who was ever mean to anyone else, who ever put down anybody else. Anyway, that was a tangent. I'm gonna cut myself off, but that was your big sister advice of the day from me and Uncle Rick. This realization for Piper, that the mean things people said about her weren't, in fact, true, and that people were saying those things because they knew she was more powerful than she was, and they were jealous and they were threatened. Oh, beautiful, beautiful character development. Beautiful. Yes. Yes! I have been waiting for this like climax to her character arc and development, for her to like step in to who she is. It's like her like I am Moana, you know, like moment, like Show Yourself from Frozen 2. Apparently all I can think of are Disney references. Like just her stepping into her full potential and finding herself, finding who she is as a person, and finding where her strength comes from. It was so good. Her realizing how love and her ability to love is her strength and her power, especially having sort of felt like unloved her whole life and sort of feeling like she didn't quite fit in as a daughter of Aphrodite and not really understanding love as her power and her strength. To this, I just love when like a physical power in a story is also tied to like personal development. Okay, I'm so happy Leo is well and okay. I thought he would be. Takes more than a throw to kill Leo for sure. But is the girl on the island Calypso, or am I just misreading that? Oh, it is Calypso. Okay, it was Calypso. I'm okay. Wow. No, I'm excited. I was always so sad that her story and Percy Jackson had like such a sad ending. You know, but you know the problem is not the problem, I guess. Maybe this is a good thing. Since reading the part with Calypso in the original series, I have now since watched Epic the Musical, and I cannot stop singing the song in my head every time Calypso's name appears. I got all you could want here, all you could need here. Calypso is understandably not in a good mood. This is my curse. I'd hoped to be free of it by now, but here I am, still stuck after 3,000 years. And now, the worst insult of all, the gods mock me by sending you.
A few moments later.
So, update. I think they are falling in love. Was I kind of hoping Leo would stay, like, single? Romance less? Not because I hate Leo, but because I don't think every character should need a romantic partner to be fulfilled and to be happy. I don't know, it's like after all these heroes who leave Calypso, it's like finally not a hero arrives who is in fact her hero. In principle, I want Leo to remain without romance because I just think we don't need every character. You don't need romance to be fulfilled in your life, but it's just this particular narrative is just really good. It's emotionally, I have to feel it. It does beg the question, where is the line drawn for immortals dating teens? Wait. Like, I think we all collectively agree that 107-year-old Edward Cullen dating 17-year-old Bella Swan is kind of, is creepy. Does it stop being creepy after a few thousand years?
How long have you been 17?
About 30 years.
You're like 47. It's just, I thought you were like 200 or something.
Would that be better?
Kind of. I mean, there's still an age gap, but 200 kind of feels magical. This just feels weird.
Or is vampire just too close to human, but daughter of a titan is so far away from human, it's not weird any— Am I just overthinking this? Leo said, I swear it on the river Styx. Ladies, find yourself a man who will swear on the river Styx that he will come back to you. Or don't find yourself a man if you're cool. Like, you can be cool and single and independent. Or if maybe you're not into men, in which case definitely don't find a man. I'm gonna turn the camera off now. Oh, God. She pressed her face into his shirt and kept her eyes closed tight. She was trembling, but not just from fear. Percy's embrace was so warm and comforting. She wanted to stay there forever, safe and protected. But that wasn't reality. She couldn't afford to relax. She couldn't lean on Percy any more than she had to. He needed her to. Again, I ask. Percabeth, but at what cost? Most painful of all, Luke Castellan. Annabeth remembered Luke's blood on her dagger after he'd sacrificed himself to stop Kronos from destroying Olympus. His blood is on your hands. The river wailed. There should have been another way. You murdered him, the river cried. Jump in and share his punishment. Luke, still haunting the narrative. Leave me alone, Luke. Let me rest, Luke. How insane would it be, though, if Luke showed up in Tartarus? Oh my God, I want that to happen so bad. Well, do I want that to happen so bad? I don't know. That would just be kind of insane. Okay, I think we might be getting Jason's life-changing field trip now. Let's find out. Easy for you to say. You're everyone's golden boy, the son of Jupiter. The only person who ever accepted me was Bianca, and she died. Jason tried to think of something to say. And then he doesn't say anything. Jason's like,
damn, that's true. It's true, I really am, like, such a cool guy, and your life is, like, totally not cool.
Poor Nico. That's my baby. He's 2 feet tall. Okay. Yeah. So we finished with Jason's life-changing field trip for this book. Perhaps there will be more in the next book, and I will be judging preemptively. But at this point in time, I am kind of underwhelmed. So the story here was he was choosing Greek or Roman. And while I think it was interesting, the stakes just didn't feel as emotional or as high as any of the other characters' stories have been. Maybe if there had been more buildup of Jason like really struggling to define who he is, of, everyone else constantly defining who he is and his character for him, and then him making that choice for himself to break out of this archetype that was forced upon him, like Nico said in the last chapter, of him being this like golden boy, and choosing Greek, making that choice for I feel like that could have been really interesting. I feel like, or maybe if Jason's character had been like that, he always did what he was told, like he always followed the rules, and now he's finally like sort of for the first time in his life like breaking the rules, doing what he's not supposed to do. That could have been interesting. Maybe if Jason had been super actually anti-Camp Half-Blood, like anti-bridging the two camps, anti-Greek, then going on this whole journey with these people from Camp Half-Blood and like realizing he was wrong, learning about them, learning to care about them, realizing like his preconceived notions were whatever, and then choosing Greek. That could have been interesting. And I feel like all of those components were there. They just weren't developed, explored, or emotional enough that any of them really hit for me in this moment. I guess we also just don't know that much about his life at Camp Jupiter, and I think this is probably a unfortunate symptom of him not having his memory in the first book, is that we kind of lost that whole chance to get to know him when we were introduced to him. But like the only person that we know that he actually cares about there is Reyna, and actually Bro doesn't really care about her that much. It doesn't really feel like a sacrifice for him to leave Camp Jupiter behind. It doesn't feel like that important or emotional of a choice. And maybe I'm just missing something. It's all subjective. Maybe someone else really, really connected with this and connected with Jason's character and I just didn't. But yeah, I just didn't. To me, he's kind of just there. Just here now, where Leo's been reunited with the group, and he's and Jason is talking about how the loss of Leo like impacted the whole group. I guess I'm sort of reminded of that episode of Avatar where like Sokka leaves and you see how much Sokka's humor and his personality and his like who he is was important to keeping the group together and to keeping their spirits up. And then I think about, okay, like imagine if it was reversed and it was Jason who the group lost. Like what would the loss really be? I'm so sorry to anyone who has Jason as their favorite character. This is my like formal apology. I'm deeply, deeply sorry. I'm gonna have my PR manager fill out actually an official statement of apology. Spread to the horizon was an army of monsters. Thousands of baddies, maybe tens of thousands. That's what people say about me and my friends when they see us coming. Just kidding, no one has ever called me a baddie in my life, actually. So what if he was a hero? So what if he did something brave? Evil was always here, regenerating, bubbling under the surface. Someday Percy's sons or daughters might have to face them all over again. Sons and daughters. The thought jarred him. As quickly as hopelessness had overtaken him, it had disappeared. He glanced at Annabeth. Sorry. Oh my god, I always like react to camera less when I get to the ending of a book because I'm just so like what are my emotions? Like I'm just so invested that I like forget that I'm like, oh shoot, we're doing this thing together, me and you. I was just sitting here completely invested in this world. I forgot you guys were there too. Forgive me. Actually really glad you're here because lots of scary stuff are happening. Please don't leave me alone with this. I do not know. Bob told his kitten. Meow, said Small Bob. I am so maternal over Bob and Small Bob. If this book ends with Percy staying behind in Tartarus, I am coming to all your houses. Me being like, Arachne died early. What could possibly be the scarier thing that we have to face at the end of the book? Oh, it's Tartarus himself. I'm having a great time.
A few moments later.
Okay, we're having a little therapy session with Frank and Coach Hedge. I'm a little, like, I'm mildly concerned about Coach Hedge's parenting skills. Coach Hedge bringing Clarice to camp was such a cool little detail. But, like, why did he have to lose his mom? Can someone in these books have a happy life? I'm very happy with the way the Frank and Leo drama turned out. I'm glad they're buddies. Glad my children are all getting along. I love that Leo cared enough about Frank to protect his life, and Frank trusted Leo enough that he was willing to let Leo burn the cloth pouch that his firewood was in. That's kind of an insane level of trust. Oh my god, I'm gonna sound like such a romance hater, and it's so funny because I'm obsessed with Percy and Annabeth, but like I do kind of wish that this whole conflict was able to be resolved without having Leo falling in love be the resolution. And not that this was implying it, but I think there are implications that like romantic love is the solution to all your problems and feeling unfulfilled and insecure, and my children are getting along. That's all that matters. We're good. It's just the stress of the ending of the book getting to me because like last I heard they were like, somebody's gonna die. Everyone's going to the doors of death. Frank is seeing ghosts. I'm scared. I haven't forgotten they said only NICO or only Hazel is going to make it to the doors of death. Jason, Piper, and NICO are stuck on one side, and Frank and Hazel and Leo are stuck on the other. Guys, why'd you tell me to read this book? I am stressed. Okay, now Leo and Hazel are separated and nobody knows if they're alive. Okay, let's recap. The emotional turmoil I just went through. So Jason promoted Frank, so now he's in charge and he's leading an army of the dead. NICO is having low-key the time of his life. Things are actually going pretty great. Okay, things are actually going pretty great. Things are actually going pretty great. The emotional whiplash of these books, I loved getting to see Frank step into being a leader. Who is opening the garage? But now we are back in Annabeth's point of view. Percy cannot stay in Tartarus. I need to find out what happens to Percy because after all they've been through, he's gonna have to get out of there. Okay, I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna pull him out myself. But first they have to actually defeat Tartarus. I don't know how they're gonna do that. Okay. Next to her, Percy did something she'd never seen him do. He dropped his sword. It just fell out of his hand and hit the ground with a thud. Oh, guys, it's getting serious. It's getting really serious. It's getting too serious. Why do you not disintegrate? Tartarus mused. You are nothing. I am Bob, said Bob. What is this? What is Bob?
Trespassing on my property. You didn't win in my yard.
Wait.
All of you.
Daddy, chill.
What the hell is even that?
I choose to be more than Iaptus. Also, Bob announced, I have a good cat. Oh my god. Like, narratively speaking, this is what I wanted to happen. Like, after all that buildup of choosing your own fate and like you getting to define who you are. This is like perfect on a storytelling level. But on an emotional level, I am in distress. I just have a feeling Bob's gonna die. And then what's gonna happen to small Bob? Who's gonna take care of small Bob?
I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
Get in the elevator, I'll hold the button. You promised, Seaweed Brain, we would not get separated ever again. What cost? Percy gripped Annabeth's hand. Stay here. I've got to help him. Percy, you can't. No. Oh my god, no. Maybe Bob doesn't die, but then Percy goes back to, he saves Bob's life, and then but then he gets stuck there. I can't, no. Damison! Oh, Damison is back! He came back! Go, he ordered. I will hold the button. Bob, you're in no condition. Percy, Annabeth's voice threatened to break. She hated herself for letting Bob do this, but she knew it was the only way. We can't just leave him. You must, friend. Oh, he is gonna die! I don't like this. I'm not having fun. We will remember you and Damison as heroes, as the best titan and the best giant. We'll tell our children. We'll keep the story alive. Someday you will regenerate. This is good. Until then, my friends, still the sun and the stars hello for me. Oh. Wait, what's gonna happen to small Bob? I'm thinking about Epic the Musical, actually. I'm thinking about that line that's like, maybe showing one act of kindness leads to kinder souls down the road, you know? And Annabeth's act of kindness, which was trying to help Damison, like, escape his fate, and Percy's act of kindness in trying to help Bob, then leading to both of these two coming back to save Percy and Annabeth, which leads to them being able to escape and being able to save others and save the world. They were able to fight as far as they did with their wit and their courage, but what ultimately saved them in the end was their kindness. He's totally fine, actually. Him and Damison, they're actually just like, they're having a nice cup of, they like snuck out a back door and they're having like a nice cup of tea under the stars and the sun for 100%. I'm gonna be so delusional about it. Yeah. Okay, so we've gotten like a sort of reconciliation between Leo and Hazel. I love them together as friends so much. I think their dynamic and chemistry in a platonic way is just so fun. Again, maybe I'm just a romance hater, okay? Like, I like Frank and Hazel. I like Percy and Annabeth. I love when there's like a good relationship, but I do like having a good balance of friendship and romance in my books.
Because I think we as a society place too much emphasis on romance over friendships, and like the modern Western idea of the nuclear family over community is like contributing to a lot of problems.
Wait. Hazel is heading to the door. They said only NICO or Hazel is gonna make it. Does that mean one of them is about to die? NICO is fine though. Is Hazel about to die? They're not gonna do this to me. They're not gonna do like a Bob and Hazel back to back, right? I think it's fine. I think I'm overreacting. Okay. Pasiphae had been cursed to fall in love with her husband's prize bull. She'd given birth to the Minotaur, half man, half bull. And people wonder why I don't like Greek mythology. Whoa, okay, sorry. Forgot you were still here. I was just very invested because Pasiphae was remaking the Labyrinth, but it seems like Hazel has been able to use her powers to harness the mist and to trick Pasiphae. And oh, it's been so good. It's been so good. The doors of death opened with a hiss. Black smoke billowed out and two bodies spilled face first onto the floor. Percy and Annabeth, limp as corpses. Limp as what? I'm sorry, limp as what? Hazel sprinted toward the doors of death. Her blade shattered the chains on the left side. She lunged to the right. By sheer luck, she wasn't cut in half. The flat of the giant's blade caught her in the chest. She slammed into the wall and felt bones crack. What? Hazel was starting to lose consciousness. No. Okay, so I think Hazel did it. I think Hazel closed the doors of death. NICO, Piper, and Jason have arrived. Okay, are we good? Are we good? Is everybody alive?
It's just this once, bros. Everybody lives!
She was so giddy with relief it took her a moment to notice NICO standing by himself, his expression full of pain and conflict. He hesitated, then came over and kissed her forehead. I'm glad you're okay. The ghosts were right. Only one of us made it to the doors of death. You would have made Dad proud. Dang, though, that was it. Just like one of them was gonna make it to the doors to be physically present at the doors. Like, whole book had me thinking that meant one of them was gonna die. I clearly overreacted. I was like reading signs that weren't there. I stressed myself a little too much this book. Next book, I'm gonna be so calm and peaceful, guys. I'm gonna be totally like nonchalant the entire reading vlog. I'm not gonna believe anybody's gonna die. I'm not falling for it next time. Was I just reading too much into it? Did everyone else read this book and it was like, yeah, we thought that meant only one of them was actually gonna be at the doors of death. Like nobody thought one of them was gonna die. That was you being dramatic, Michaela. I remember actions of passion. Sorry, we're in an epic sort of mood now. But you guys, Tartarus has to be the real story. What happened down there? How did you? Percy laced his fingers through Annabeth's. Hazel happened to glance at NICO and saw pain in his eyes. She wasn't sure, but maybe he was thinking about how lucky Percy and Annabeth were to have each other. NICO had gone through Tartarus alone. He's only 2 inches tall. He's my tiny, small, 8-year-old son that I need to protect. When we take over command, Frank suggested, our first order of business should be to load Octavian into the nearest catapult and fire him as far away as possible. Seconded. NICO and Percy are having a conversation. Percy is thanking NICO. He's saying NICO probably saved their lives by being nice to Bob. NICO says, yeah, well, not giving people a second thought, that can be dangerous. Percy, dude, I'm trying to thank you. NICO, I'm trying to say you don't need to. I just want NICO to be happy. Percy studied the constellations, the ones Annabeth had taught him so many years ago. Bob says hello. He told the stars. The Argo 2 sailed into the night.
There are moments that the words don't reach. There is suffering too terrible to name.
Rick writing this like, we're gonna pack a lot of emotional damage into this baby. To be fair, okay, that last line was soul crushing, but to be fair, that was a significantly less emotionally damaging ending than the last book. Okay, I will give it that. I am glad nobody is dead. I'm glad nobody's falling into a pit of, well, Bob's dead. I liked this book, I'd say, equally to Mark of Athena. I think House of Hades and Mark of Athena are my 2 top favorite Percy Jackson books. I really liked the emotional complexity in this one. Like I said, I really liked how much Percy and Annabeth we got, even though it was like kind of emotionally traumatizing the entire time. Loved the storyline with Bob, and it would like just the theme of sort of being able to choose your own fate and like you define who you are. not letting external things decide who you are for you. I liked getting to see NICO's story in this book. I don't like it for NICO. It's devastating for NICO, but it was like a great story to tell about NICO. Regardless, I keep getting happier with and more emotionally traumatized with each book. One more to go. Actually, that's not true because I know there's like 500 Percy Jackson books, but like one more in this series. I'm very curious to see how this is going to be wrapped up. The build up in this series has been really good. I wasn't sure how they were going to compare to the buildup of Kronos in the first 5 books, because I thought that buildup was done very well, like the leading to sort of the 5th book. And this one felt a little bit more ambiguous, but I love how it has all come together. I feel like going from fighting Tartarus in this book to, I assume, fighting Gaia in the next one is going to be like a perfect and, again, emotionally damaging escalation. I am going to predict that
they defeat Gaia and nobody dies and everyone lives and they're all super, super happy. And Nico's so happy. And Percy and Annabeth are so happy. And everybody, and Leo goes and finds Calypso and they're so happy. And everyone's is at peace and they heal all their trauma and they get some therapy. And
let me know how much emotional devastation I should be prepared for in the next one. Because this one got me. This got me. This got me good, guys. I need to recover. I'm gonna go recover. I loved it, but
Yay!
I love reading books. I love enjoying things. I love being a fan of things. It's so fun and not devastating at all.